Hello everybody, it's Bethany here from Magic with the Minions. Here I am going to be opening up the Murders at Karlov Manor Deadly Disguise. It's a red, green, and white deck. Cost, Eyes of the Glade. Much like the roots of a tree, the gentle cost's elaborate underground network of contacts reaches every corner of Ravnica. Face down, face off. Who was that mysterious masked card? Let's open it up here. Inside here, we have the box. And we have the life counter. I would have thought it would have been a little neater than that, but at least we have one. And the box. There you go. Put that together here in a little bit. So let's try out this collector booster sample pack, see what we got. What you can't see off camera is Brian eagerly awaiting. Got the card there. What we ended up getting is Assassin's Trophy. It's an instant. Destroy target permanent an opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. It's a black and green. And a Magnetic Snuffler. Artifact creature construct. When it enters the battlefield, return target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to the Magnetic Shuffler. Whenever you sacrifice an artifact, put a 1/1 counter on Magnetic Shuffler. It's a 4/4. Pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to move on here and check out the Deadly Disguise deck. These are always neat to look at. We'll see what their poster is going to look like here. It's always neat to check out the... I like his little critter on his shoulder. Pretty cool. Okay, so let's get into this deck. So right up on top, of course, we have Cost, Eyes of the Glade. Whenever a creature you control that was turned face up this turn deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And you can tap him, turn target face down, attacking creature you control face up. And he's a 2/2. And you can cast him for either a red or white, along with a green. I still like this critter. Okay, continuing on. Oh, now this is pretty cool. We have, I like the artwork on that one, and the foil. Duskana, the Rage Mother. It's a legendary creature bear. When Duskana, the Rage Mother, enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control with base power and toughness 2/2. Whenever a creature you control with base power and toughness 2/2 attacks, it gets a 3/3 until end of turn, and he's a 5/5. Okay. Then we have True Identity. It's an enchantment. Whenever True Identity or another permanent you control is turned face up, scry 1, then draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. And you can also pay a disguise cost of 1 white. You may cast this card face down for 3 as a 2/2 creature with ward 2. Turn it face up anytime for its disguise cost. We have Unexplained Absence. So it's an instant. For each player, exile up to one target non-land permanent that player controls. For each permanent exiled this way, its controller cloaks the top card of their library. To cloak a card, put it onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature with a ward of 2. Then turn it face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature card. Here we have Veiled Ascension. It's an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, put a flying counter on each face-down creature you control. Face-down creatures you control enter the battlefield with a flying counter on them. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may cloak the top card of your library. Then we have Bolt Bender. It's a creature goblin wizard, disguised for 1 and a red. When Bolt Bender is turned face up, you may choose new targets for any number of other spells and or abilities for 2. Here we have Show-Stopping Surprise. It's an instant. Choose target creature you control. Turn it face up if it's face down. Then it deals damage equal to its power to each other creature. Here we have Tessak, Judith's Hellhound. It's a legendary creature, elemental dog. He looks nasty. He has Unleash. You may have this creature enter the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it. It can't block as long as it has a 1/1 counter on it. Other dogs you control have Unleash. Creatures you control with counters on them have Haste. And whenever he attacks, add 1 red for each attacking creature. Here we have Experiment 12 with Trample. Whenever Experiment 12 or another creature you control is turned face up, put 1/1 counters on that creature equal to its power, and it has Disguise for 4 and green. It's a 4/4 creature elf lizard warrior. Here, this creature Ooze, Print Lifter Ooze. It has Death Touch, and whenever the Ooze or another creature you control is turned face up, create a 0/0 green Ooze creature token with Trample. The token enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it, where X is the number of other creatures you control, and it has Disguise for 3 and a green. This artifact is a Panoptic Projector. It has, if you tap it, the next face-down creature spell you cast this turn costs 3 less to cast. If turning a face-down permanent face-up causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. This artifact clue is Ransom Note. When it enters the battlefield, surveil for 1. For 2 mana, you can sacrifice Ransom Note and choose 1. Cloak the top card of your library, goad target creature, or draw a card. This enchantment here is called Ugin's Mastery. Whenever you cast a colorless creature spell, manifest the top card of your library. Put it into the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature. Turn it face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature card. Whenever you attack with creatures with total power 6 or greater, you may turn a face down creature you control face up. Here we have a sorcery, Austere Command. You get to choose 2. So destroy all artifacts, destroy all enchantments, destroy all creatures with mana value 3 or less, or destroy all creatures with mana value 4 or less. Now we have a sorcery, double sorcery here. You get to use Dusk, destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. Or we have Dawn, Aftermath. Cast this spell only from your graveyard, then exile it. Return all creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. Here we've got a creature angel, Exalted Angel. Flying, whenever Exalted Angel deals damage, you gain that much life, and it has Morph for 2 and 2 whites. You may cast this card face down as a 2/2 creature for 3. Turn it face up anytime for its Morph cost. It's a 4/5. Here we have a sorcery, Fell the Mighty. Destroy all creatures with power greater than target creature's power. Then we have Hidden Dragon Slayer. It's a human warrior with lifelink. Megamorph. You may cast this card face down as a 2/2 creature for 3. Turn it face up any time for its Megamorph cost and put a 1/1 counter on it. When Hidden Dragon Slayer is turned face up, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater and opponent controls. Then we have here a Human Monk, Master of Pearls. It has Morph, and it has when Master of Pearls is turned face up, creatures you control get 2/2 until end of turn. We have Mastery of the Unseen. It's an enchantment. Whenever a permanent you control is turned face up, you gain 1 life for each creature you control. And then for 3 and 1 white, manifest the top card of your library. We have Mirror Entity. It's a shapeshifter. It's a changeling, so it has every creature type. And for X mana until end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX and gain all creature types. 1/1. Welcoming Vampire. It has flying, and it has whenever 1 or more other creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Welcoming Vampire kind of creeps me out. Akroma, Angel of Fury. It's a legendary creature. This spell can't be countered. Flying, trample, protection from white and from blue. For 1 red, Akroma, Angel of Fury gets a +1 until end of turn, or it has Morph for 3 and 3 red. Then we have a Phoenix creature, Ash Cloud Phoenix. It has flying. When it dies, return it to the battlefield face down under your control. It has Morph, and when it is turned face up, it deals 2 damage to each player. This instant is Chaos Warp. So the owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield. Here we have a dragon creature, Imperial Hellkite. It has flying, it has Morph, and it has when Imperial Hellkite is turned face up, you may search your library for a dragon card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. It's a 6/6. For Jessica's Will, it's a sorcery. You get to choose 1. If you control a commander as you cast this spell, you may choose both. Add 1 red for each card in target opponent's hand, or exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. We have here a legendary creature, Zombie Minotaur Warrior. It's Neheb the Eternal. Afflict 3. Whenever this creature becomes blocked, defending player loses 3 life. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add a red for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn, and it's a 4/6. Scourge of the Throne. It's a dragon with flying and dethrone. Whenever this creature attacks the player with the most life or tied for most life, put a 1/1 counter on it. Whenever Scourge of the Throne attacks for the first time each turn, if it's attacking the player with the most life or tied for most life, untap all attacking creatures. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase, and it's a 5/5. Here, we have an Elf Druid, Beast Whisperer. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. We have a Dinosaur Beast, Death Mist Raptor. It's got Death Touch. Whenever a permanent you control is turned face up, you may return Death Mist Raptor from your graveyard to the battlefield face up or face down, and it has Megamorph. We have Den Protector. It's a human warrior. Creatures with power less than Den Protector's power can't block it. It's got Megamorph, and when Den Protector is turned face up, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Then we have a Snake Hydra, a Hooded Hydra. It enters the battlefield with X/1/1 counters on it. When Hooded Hydra dies, create a 1/1 green snake creature token for each 1/1 counter on it. It has Morph, And as it is turned face up, put 5 1/1 counters on it. We have a Beast Mutant, Krosan Cloud Scraper. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Krosan Cloud Scraper unless you pay 2 green. It also has Morph, and it's a 13/13, but it costs pretty good. Here we've got a Beast, Krosan Colossus. It's got Morph for 6 and 2 green. We've got an enchantment here. It's Obscuring Aether. Face down creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And for 1 and a green, turn Obscuring Aether face down. Oran Frostfang. It's a snow creature. It's a snake. Attacking creatures you control have Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. That would be pretty cool scary if snakes started coming at us in the wintertime. Here we have a Return of the Wild Speaker. It's an instant. Choose 1. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control. And non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Okay, next up we have a creature elemental. Let's check it out. Root Elemental. It has Morph, and when it is turned face up, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. It's a 6/5. This legendary creature is a human warlock. Sereth, the Viper's Fang. Other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch. Other untapped creatures you control have Hexproof. For 1 and tapping it, untap another target creature or land you control. This spirit creature is Seedborn Muse. Untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step for a 2/4. That's pretty cool. Here we have a human shaman, Tamer War Shaman. When it enters the battlefield, manifest the top card of your library. Whenever a permanent you control is turned face up, if it's a creature, you may have it fight target creature you don't control. Here we have an elf shaman. It's Thelonite Hermit. All sapperlings get 1/1. It has Morph, and if it is turned face up, create 4 1/1 green sapperling creature tokens. That's pretty cool. Next here we have a squirrel. It's like a water squirrel or something. So Toski, Bearer of Secrets. This spell can't be countered. Indestructible. It attacks each combat if able. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Here we have enchantment, Trail of Mystery. Whenever a face-down creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Whenever a permanent you control is turned face up, if it's a creature, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Whisperwood Elemental. It's an elemental creature here. At the beginning of your end step, manifest the top card of your library. Sacrifice Whisperwood Elemental. Until end of turn, face up non-token creatures you control gain. When this creature dies, manifest the top card of your library. Next up, we have Treefolk Druid. So whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may return it to the battlefield face down under its owner's control. It's a forest land. It's a 5/5. Here, the sorcery is Decimate. Destroy target artifact, target creature, target enchantment, and target land. You can't cast this spell unless you have legal choices for all its targets. Here we have a legendary creature. It's a human knight, Sidar Kondo of Jamara. It's got flanking, so whenever a creature without flanking blocks this creature, the blocking creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Creatures your opponents control without flying or reach can't block creatures with power 2 or less. And it's got partner. So you can have 2 commanders if both have partner. Next up is an artifact. We have Life Crafter's Bestiary. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry for 1. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay a green. If you do, draw a card. Artifact. It's a Scroll of Fate. Tap, manifest a card from your hand. Put that card into the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature. Turn it face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature card. It looks like we're getting into some lands here. So, first up, Canopy Vista. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Gives you green or white. Next up, we have Cinderglade. It also enters tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. It gives you a red or a green. We have Exotic Orchard. Tapping it, add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. Fortified Village. It enters the battlefield. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a forest or plains card from your hand. If you don't, it enters tapped, and it gives you a green or a white. Here we have Furrycomb Snarl. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a mountain or a plains card from your hand. If you don't, it enters tapped. It gives you a red or a white. Game Trail. It enters the battle. As it enters the battlefield, reveal a mountain or a forest. If you don't, it enters tapped. It gives you a red or green. Kessig Wolf Run. You can tap it for 1 colorless. Or if you do X plus a red and a green and tap it, target creature gets plus X plus 0 and gains trample until end of turn. Mossfire Valley. For a mana and tapping it, you get a red and a green. Okay, we've got Mosswort Bridge. It has Hideaway 4. When this land enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. Exile 1 face down, then put the rest on the bottom in a random order. It enters the battlefield tapped, and tapping it gives you 1 green. If you want to pay a green and tap it, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater. Next up, we have Scattered Groves. Tapping it gives you a green or a white. It enters tapped, and it has cycling for 2. So pay 2, discard this card, draw a card. Next up, we have Sheltered Thicket. You can tap it and add a red or a green. Sheltered Thicket enters the battlefield tapped, and it also has cycling for 2. Here we have Shrine of the Forsaken Gods. So you can tap it for colorless, or you can tap it, add 2 colorless, spend this mana only to cast colorless spells, activate only if you control 7 or more lands. Next up, Sungrass Prairie. For 1 mana and tapping it, you can get a green and a white. We have Temple of Abandon. It enters tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, you can scry for 1, and it gives you a red or a green. Temple of Plenty. It enters tapped. When it enters, you can scry for 1, and it gives you a green or a white. Temple of Triumph. Again, it enters tapped. You can scry for 1 when it enters, and you get a red or a white. Here we have Path to Exile. It's an instant. You exile target creature. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Here we have Inuk Survivalist. It's a dog shaman. It's got Megamorph. And when it is turned face up, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. Here we have Broodhatch Nantuko. It's an insect druid. Whenever it is dealt damage, you may create that many 1/1 green insect creature tokens. And it has Morph. Okay, what else do we have here? We've got Nervous Gardener. It's a dryad. It has Disguise, and it has when Nervous Gardener is turned face up, search your library for a land card with a basic land type, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Next up, we have Nantuko Vigilante. It is an insect druid mutant morph, and when it is turned face up, destroy target artifact or enchantment. He looks nasty. Okay, we've got Nature's Lore. It's a sorcery. Search your library for a forest card. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Next up, we have Sakura Tribe Elder. It's a snake shaman. Sacrifice him. Search your library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. We have here Salt Road Ambushers. It's a dog warrior. Whenever another permanent you control is turned face up, if it's a creature, put 2 1/1 counters on it. Megamorph. It's a 3/3. Here we have Wild Growth. It's an enchantment aura. Enchant land. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional green. 3 Visits. It's a sorcery. Search your library for a forest card. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Here we have your staple, Arcane Signet. It's artifact. Tap it, add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Next up is another staple. It's the Soul Ring. Tapping it gives you 2 colorless. And then we're getting back into some more lands by the looks of it. So we've got Boros Garrison. It enters tapped. When it enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. And you can tap it for a red and a white. Here we have your Command Tower, another staple. Tapping it, add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Here we have Branch of Vitu Ghazi. It's a land. You can tap it for 1 colorless. It has Disguise 3. And when it's turned face up, add 2 mana of any color, any 1 color. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Then we have Gruul Turf. It enters tapped. When it enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand, and it gives you a red and a green. Next up, we have Jungle Shrine. It enters tapped, and when you tap it, you can tap it for a red, green, or white. Next up, we have Croson Verge. It enters the battlefield tap. You can tap it for 1, or if you pay 2 and sacrifice it, then you can search your library for a force card and a plains card, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Sacred Peaks. It's mountain plains. Tap it for a red or a white, and it enters tapped. We have Temple of the False God. You can tap it for 2 colorless, activate only if you control 5 or more lands. Then we have Celestia Sanctuary. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's land, and it gives you a green and a white. Then we have Zoetic Cavern. You can tap it for 1 colorless, and it also has Morph for 2. And then it looks like we've got a couple of planes. Let's see here. 2 different color art pictures here for the planes. Then we have some mountains. Oh, we've got 3. So 2 different pictures here. And then we've got some forest. Just the 2 different ones there. And then we're into our tokens. So here we have our Ooze with Trample, 0/0. A Mysterious Creature. You can cover a face-down creature with this reminder card. A face-down creature that was cloaked or cast with Disguise has Ward 2. Whenever that creature becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless that player pays 2. It's a 2/2. And another ooze with another mysterious creature. Here we've got your snake, 1/1. And on the back we have morph. So you can cover a face down creature with this reminder card. A card with morph can be turned face up anytime for its morph cost. Another snake, another morph. Here we've got our 1/1 sapperling. And on the back is another morph. Another sapperling with another morph. Another sapperling. Oh, and here we've got manifest. It's a creature. You can cover a face down manifested creature with this reminder card. A manifested creature card can be turned face up anytime for its mana cost. A face down card can also be turned face up for its morph or disguise cost. It's a 2/2. So here we've got a sapperling and a manifest. We've got a 1/1 insect here. And on the back of that is another manifest. Another insect. And another manifest. So there you go, guys. We got it there. That would be Murders at Karlov Manor, Deadly Disguise. Looking forward to playing this with the family here, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this unveiling tonight. So if you guys, hopefully we'll get to that here very soon. It takes us a bit to get through the editing and whatnot, but like, subscribe, and keep an eye on what we're doing, and that way you'll get to watch us play a little bit of Magic with the Minions. Have a good night, guys. Till next time.